My name's Bond. James Bond.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I drink your milkshake.
You can't handle the truth. You are tearing me apart, Lisa.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Movie Mafia podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Trout, joined again by Max, Lauren. Gabby's not here. That's okay, though. We got the three of us, and we got plenty of news to talk to you guys.
Yep.
Reviews, trailers, a ton of information in this episode to get to everybody. All right, so before we get into all that, though, how you guys been doing? How's your guys' week been?
You go first, Lauren.
Live. I don't know, like, I kind of, because we're graduating in May, so it kind of feels like this whole month of April, just the whole month is finals, is kind of like the vibe.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go. I'm doing pretty amazing actually right now.
What?
I have two superhero shows now going on every Friday with Falcon, Winter Soldier, and Invincible, and then I got to be in a movie theater in the first time in over a year, which was pretty special to be in a theater. To see a movie that was literally made to be seen in a movie theater was pretty cool. Watching a movie with a crowd again was nice to do, but we have a lot to talk about, a lot of superhero stuff, which is, I think, great for, Jacob and I for sure, with so many trailers and so much stuff to talk about.
Absolutely, yeah. And with that being said, let's just jump right into it. So,
Yes.
as you mentioned, a lot of stuff to review. One of those being Godzilla vs. Kong. So we saw the movie HBO Max, Godzilla vs. Kong, about 2-hour movie. I know that neither of us are ever going to get caught saying that this is a great movie or even really a good movie.
No.
But there are plenty of issues. But you said you got a chance to see this movie in theaters. So what was it like getting back to theaters and your overall experience for this movie?
You have to. I know a lot of people can't go see a movie in the theaters, but this movie literally is just not a streaming movie. It just isn't. It's a movie that needs to be seen on the biggest screen that you have if you're watching at home. I know Jacob watched on HBO Max, which will make this a fun discussion because I have a totally different point of view. But seeing it with a lot of people on opening day who love these two characters, had a lot of clapping for particular characters and moments. Even though a lot of the jokes no one was laughing at in my theater. I did feel like it felt like an experience. I was watching a lot going on. I had to watch these two titans fight on the biggest screen. Now, is it a good movie? Probably not. It's not a great movie whatsoever. But I think that it is my favorite film, though, in the MonsterVerse, in my opinion. I did my ranking the other day, and it is my number one. So I know a lot of people. I really did not like the last Godzilla film, so this was a step up above that. But I had a fun time in the theater having popcorn. As I told you guys, I would just get a bowl of popcorn, enjoy myself for an hour 50 where I can turn my brain off, watch nonsense happen on screen, and that is what happened.
Yeah, I totally get that. I thought some of the most enjoyable scenes for me to watch were just when you saw the huge, how impressive the CGI was. You could see like
So
some
impressive.
very impressive, like especially with Kong, I thought was the best work of their CGI. So when you're able to take someone like Kong and show him in a huge city, a vibrant, colorful city, with so much detail and CGI on a monster that big that doesn't look bad at all, looks very, very good. Those
Very
are my
good.
favorite moments. And you combo that with action scenes. I do think in theaters I would have much preferred to watch in theaters, but I'm not going to get caught spending money to watch this movie in theaters, if I'm being honest, especially when there's a free option right around the corner for me.
Yeah.
So with that being said, obviously this movie is exactly what most people went in assuming it would be. That like the action and the CGI are good, but the plot makes no sense, very confusing, and not fleshed out whatsoever. And the dialogue is piss poor. It was horrible dialogue. The dialogue between the characters is terrible. Every single human character feels like they put absolutely no impact on this movie whatsoever, besides the little girl that is deaf and communicates in sign language to Kong. That was the only human character that I thought had some sort of interesting element to them. Every other character was just a tropey, classic, not fleshed out at all character, and all they're used for is some comic relief or just like a very jarring transition because they can't make 2 hours of just action because without with that much
Yeah.
CGI, it's gonna be way too high of a budget. So they have to just throw in scenes where a character talks. I don't know why this movie was 2 hours. I felt like this movie could have been an hour and a half or an hour 20. And they could have just
Hmm.
cut out 40 minutes of just useless dialogue.
Yeah.
Um, but regardless, we got a 2 hour movie. It took me like 4 days to watch this movie because I just kept getting stuck on scenes that were just like, oh my
Hmm.
God, I'd rather be doing anything else than watching this. Um, I noted a couple things that were interesting to me, like Godzilla and Kong did not come face to face with each other until 40 minutes into the movie. And I thought it was and then the next time they saw each other after that was an hour 20. So, and then at that point, the movie, kept them pretty much together for the rest of rest of the way. But,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I want to bring up a point because I was talking to my friends about it who watched the movie too, and they were like, I texted them. I was like, Godzilla really isn't in the movie that much, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. I was just saying Godzilla really isn't in the movie that much, and they were like, well, yeah, Godzilla already has 2 movies. So I was like, you know what? I think it was a good move to have Kong be the main character because Kong, as you said, great CGI, but because it's a gorilla, you can really have human-like emotion with the character. And I actually really liked the emotional connection between the girl and Godzilla. It's probably the most emotional human storyline they've ever done in the MonsterVerse, and I thought it was done quite well. The fact that she can sense everything that's going on with him if he's mad or sad or stuff like that. But yeah, the rest of the human characters, especially because they get these casts, like Alexander Skarsgård is now in this movie. Rebecca Hall is in it. There's a lot of new characters, even though I think Millie Bobby Brown and Kyle Chandler are the only 2 actors from any other films, and they're both from the last one. And it was funny because Kyle Chandler went from the main character, the main human character of the last movie, to just being in maybe 3 scenes and just being like, Millie, are you okay? The entire movie. Which was I felt bad for him because he's actually a really talented actor who had a main role in the last movie. And he was just like, Millie, are you okay? The entire movie. And it was quite annoying. But Brian Tyree Henry, who is from Atlanta, who I love, he knew what movie he was in. He plays like a podcast conspiracy theorist about Godzilla. And that's how Millie Bobby Brown and Julian Dennison find him, is because they're obviously from the last film. I guess cares about Godzilla. Who knows? But the human storylines are not good. But the action was great in my opinion. I really liked the action, even though the amount of human casualties is never talked about in the entire movie, especially the third fight between the two of them that kills, I think, an entire city. But no one really talks about that. But it's a fun movie. I like that it didn't take itself too seriously, though. It really didn't take itself seriously that much. Maybe a couple parts, but it really was in for the joke, which I thought was necessary for this movie.
Yeah, a couple things I noted that I just think are worth talking about.
Yeah.
In the beginning, on my when I first started watching the film, and they had the line talking about those ships that are able to go into Hollow Earth and not
Yeah.
get like ripped apart. The lady said some sort of line that was along the lines of oh, the power in this ship could power Las Vegas, every building in Las Vegas for like a week or something. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. I wonder why she made such a weird comparison. I don't know why that was necessary. Like the guy asked, like, how much power does it have, and she could have just said like, a lot, or just like it'll be, it'll be good enough to go down there, whatever it might be. It felt like a very weird comparison for her to say that, except for when they finally brought that back when Kong was on his deathbed, and they had to say like, oh. What are we gonna do? We need electromagnetic pulse to restart his heart. And they both look at the car and they're like, do you mean electromagnetic pulse with enough power to light up Las Vegas for a week? And it's so like dumb that when I heard that line and I realized that is why that weird line of dialogue was in originally, it was to pay off that moment. It was just like very pathetic to me. And there's a lot of examples of that.
What I really didn't like about the script was that a lot of the new characters had family deaths that tie them in. Like Alexander Skarsgård, who is a scientist who wasn't really that famous, but this company, Apex, wants him to do this. He has a brother that died in the opening scene. That never gets brought back the rest of the movie. The little girl, her parents get killed in Skull Island. You never hear about them. We're just supposed to believe that Rebecca Hall, I guess, is her new mom. There's a lot of deaths and a lot of forgetfulness of the rest of the franchise. Like Millie Bobby Brown's mom, who really was one of the, I guess not, her character wasn't supposed to be a villain, but her character, when you think about the story, was a villain in the last movie. And they bring her up multiple times during this movie, like, you're the daughter of this person. And they say it's Vera Farmiga's daughter, but she's not in the movie. Like, it felt like they wrote the script and like, oh my God, she's not in the movie. We'll just keep it in. It was very weird. The continuity issues of the rest of the movies.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I just think the movie was very odd, and the action scenes were enjoyable, like we've said before, but everything else is just so poor. And one of the things that really stuck out to me is, like, I don't know whether to applaud the directors and the writers for realizing that, hey, this movie's bad, so let's just not try to pretend that it's not anything but it is, but what it is, and let's just completely lean into this concept that it's bad, so who cares? Let's just, have great action scenes and whatever. I don't know whether to applaud them for that or whether to criticize them. For these guys are actors, these guys are directors, writers that are making millions, or this movie is making millions of dollars, and the dialogue is so poor. It's just like the plot makes no sense. Like, we're talking about what is the name of the monster that's supposed to power Mechagodzilla? Like, we talked about it off air. Yeah, we talked about it off air. And we talked about it off air. Like, how does that make any sense? I don't understand how that connection is made. And Mechagodzilla itself is kind of cool, but I have no idea how they jump from, like, that creature being able to power, like, Mechagodzilla. If it was like a side plot point that didn't really affect the overall story, I'd get that. But, like, Mechagodzilla is the reason that Kong and Godzilla don't kill each other. Which is what everyone wanted to see. Everyone wanted to see who's gonna win. Is it Kong or is it Godzilla? And spoiler alert, neither of them win. They just draw. It's a draw. They just walk away because they both have to fight Mechagodzilla. They defeat Mechagodzilla, and then it's like, oh yeah, let's be friends. And then, like, Kong is a tear down his eye. That would be better. That would be better. Honestly, like, they zoom in on Kong's face and he has a tear coming down his eye as like Godzilla's walking away. It's like, it's so lame.
Yeah. But I do want to bring up, this is not actually non the movie related, but how good this movie is doing at the box office. This is by far the most successful movie at the box office during the pandemic. It made $48.5 million over the weekend, which is a lot of money for regular times, but really fantastic for the pandemic, which means that the movie theater business is on track. I was telling you guys, LA coming back was a big deal, and my theater was obviously sold out with limited capacity, but this movie got people back in theaters, which I think is a huge deal. It made $70 million in China, so this movie is already well over $100 million worldwide. So this is by far the biggest box office hit of the pandemic, which I think Hollywood really needed some positivity at the box office, because really the bar was at like 6 million or something for an opening weekend for a new movie, and this got to 48.5. So this hit it right out of the park. I think it's really good for someone who loves movies and loves going to the theaters. This is great for the theatrical exhibition.
Yeah, I'm seeing that information too. 48.5 million at the box. It's still a pretty big hit though, because they spent about 160 million on their budget to make the film, and they're losing about over $100 million on that. So that's a pretty significant loss. And I think it's safe to say that this
no, they didn't lose anything yet, because they made 40.5 million this weekend.
Yeah.
They've already made well over $100 million overseas, and this is only the first week it's out. So
I'm talking about strictly in the States. But overseas too. I mean, I didn't mean they're gonna have. Yeah, they're definitely the movie itself is. I guess they're not technically losing money. I just meant that, like,
definitely not.
I think they're definitely not making, like, what I would say a massive success. I don't think they're making as much money as a movie that has $160 million budget should be.
That's
Um,
true.
yeah,
For the
I guess
pandemic. That's over the
I guess that's
pandemic.
part of it, but I also I think the previous movie Godzilla King of the Monsters also didn't do very good either.
No, I know
They
Kong.
might have lost movie on that or money on
I know
that.
Kong Skull Island made $60 million opening weekend. That obviously isn't the total, but as you said, it isn't a lot of money for a movie that is this much. But let's look at the pandemic, right? This is a mega hit. When you look at if you look at other movies like Tenet, Wonder Woman 1984, these movies have come out, and this one has absolutely blown it out of the water. So even though it might not seem like a lot when you look at it from above, you have to look at it from the pandemic point of view, the fact that movies really don't get above $10 million for a weekend in the pandemic. The fact that this is even touching 50 million is a mega hit for the pandemic.
I get that. That makes sense. And I think one of the things surrounding Godzilla vs Kong 2 I saw on social media in the days after that it was released,
Yeah.
they had the trend hashtag restore the monsterverse. And just kind of playing off of some of the stuff hashtags we saw from Zack Snyder's Justice League, but it seems like fans are calling for this monster verse of Godzilla and King Kong to continue in future movies, which I think is kind of ridiculous. I don't know how they can get a movie to kind of have any of the impact or the significance of Godzilla versus Kong. I mean, this is what we wanted all along. Everything was building to this. I mean, I don't think there's anything else fans really want that's going to rival this.
This is the only film in the MonsterVerse, the 4 films, to not have a post-credit scene. The first 3 did have post-credit scenes setting up the next film. So clearly, they don't have any plans to continue this because there was no post-credit scenes for the movie. So I don't think this is kind of the conclusion it needed. This is not a successful franchise in my opinion. The last 2 films did really horrible at the box office and really bad critically. This film is doing really good critically and really good at the box office, but I think it was too late to swing to do more of these films.
Yeah, I agree. Right. Well, is there anything else you want to add on the topic of Godzilla versus Kong before we move on?
Yeah. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments your different experiences because this is a nice discussion. Jacob watched it on HBO Max. That's a totally different experience from me watching this movie in a theater. So if you watched it in the theater, let us know if it was better than you watching it on a streaming service. I think it's an interesting point of view of the fact of movies like this and Black Widow. And there's a lot of movies coming out, like Mortal Kombat will be the same thing in April, where it'll be in theaters and it'll be on HBO Max. So I wonder, will this get Mortal Kombat some good box office numbers? Let us know as well in the comments.
For sure, and I'm actually going to be seeing Mortal Kombat in theaters.
So am I, yeah.
Yeah, so we can definitely look forward to that and a review of that when that comes out in about a week or 2 from now. So moving on from Godzilla vs Kong, we had a ton of trailers come out this past week. So we had trailers for a new Loki trailer, we had a new Black Widow trailer. Outside of the superhero stuff, we had a trailer for Space Jam 2, and we had a trailer for season 5 of Rick and Morty. So we'll just start with what we just got recently, the most recent trailer being the Loki trailer.
Yeah.
So as we know, the Loki TV series will be on Disney Plus, and it will be releasing June 11th. Yeah. So, what were your guys' thoughts of the Loki trailer?
I loved it. I think this is based off the trailers from these 3 shows, MCU shows. This one got me most excited based off the trailer. Like, this show feels very, again, distinct from Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision. Owen Wilson being in the show is just fantastic. And every time he was on screen in the trailer, I was cracking up. He had some really funny jokes about Loki turning his back on people like 50 times and how he can't trust Loki. Or the fact that he's like, Loki, you're smart. He's like, I know. He's like, oh, I know. Like, some of the jokes that Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson back and forth was really good in this trailer. The music was good, and it sets up the multiverse for sure. The fact that Loki broke up the time loop in Endgame, and there's different branches of reality. This is a really exciting show.
Yeah, for sure. I think Tom Hiddleston is such a good actor. I was just incredibly excited to see him again. I just wanted to see him back on screen. So I'm pretty excited for this trailer as well.
Yeah, I'm excited for him to have like his own thing because he's always just like in other heroes and people's journeys. And I'm like, he's always everywhere. I'm like, I want to just watch him for 24 hours straight and see what he does.
Mhm.
Yeah, I totally get that. I totally get that. And, he's an incredibly talented actor. And I think the scenes that he's in and the movies that he's in, he normally is like one of the best parts of the movies. And, I think he does an incredible job. And I've definitely been waiting to see more of him. And, I was a little bit, when we first saw him die in Infinity War,
Infinity War. Yeah.
I was actually disappointed, and I actually hoped they would bring him back because I wanted to see more of his character, and I love his interactions with the heroes and that the dynamic that he creates with them. So I'm incredibly excited about this TV show. I was a little bit apprehensive when I heard it announced because I wasn't sure what angle they were going for, or how they were going to rationalize the TV show, or what would happen. And now that we had some more information, we've seen the trailer. I think I'm pretty on board with the topic of the show and how the show is gonna go. And another thing I found really interesting is I heard some other people commenting on this before, but this show is one of the only Disney Plus shows Disney Plus superhero shows to already be renewed for a season 2. So season
Yeah.
2 will be coming, and I
Cool.
think part of the reason for that is because um, they have so much potential story. This Loki isn't the main MCU Loki. That Loki's dead. This is its own character,
Tony
and he
Stark.
can have
Yeah.
all his own experiences. And anything he does isn't going to affect the main MCU timeline. So they can just go crazy
Absolutely.
and do whatever the hell they want to do.
Yes.
So I think that gives them so much more opportunity. Where, like, for example,
Great
something like
point.
WandaVision, I'm not really sure where that goes after
It's setting up a
this.
movie. Yeah,
Right.
because that point was great, as you said. People need to understand that Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision are, once those seasons are done, those characters are going back into the movies
Yeah.
after that. So their story in the show is just a brief subplot of a bigger story. And you're right, this Loki will have no connection to the main story. We think we don't know if he'll ever come back, and he'll probably come back in some way, but it's gonna take time. So that was a great point.
Yeah, and I just think it's really I'm really glad that this Loki show is kind of an opposite to that.
Yeah.
I like that they're following the traditional TV show format of like multiple seasons, as opposed to something that's more short term. I understand why the MCU and Disney Plus are going for some of that short term stuff with Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision, but it's not my preferred method. I like being able to like watch a TV show and then know that what I'm watching isn't going to be ended immediately. That
And
it's
this
going
all
to have
and
some
this
continuation.
A real addiction that you can feed into the addiction forever.
Yep.
and I was gonna
Yep.
say also
Sorry.
I was gonna say also, this show also isn't requiring new viewers to rewatch the entire MCU to get what's going on. You maybe have to watch the Thor films and the Avengers first one, but that's 3 movies. Like, for
And
example,
you don't even have to watch Dark World because
No, you don't.
yeah, because this character never had the events of Dark World.
Or Ragnarok, whatever.
Yeah,
Or not even Ragnarok, because it literally is just Thor 1 and Avengers 1. So I do think that this show will have an advantage, because in WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, for the most part, you really had to watch to understand watch all the MCU movies to get what's going on, in my opinion. There's a lot of callbacks to other films. This show, I don't think it's going to have any of that. Maybe the Idris Elba cameo as Heimdall will be one. That's why you just have to watch 2 movies, not 23, which I think will make this maybe its biggest hit yet for Marvel.
yeah, I definitely think it has that potential, especially when you have someone like Tom Hiddleston as your main
So
actor.
good.
Like this, it's just absolutely. So super hyped for Loki. We said it before, but I'll mention it again.
June 11th.
June 11th release date, and TV series going to be on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's also jump and tackle the other superhero trailer we got. So Black Widow trailer. Obviously, this is a movie. This is not a TV show, but the
Movie.
Black Widow movie. And this is going to be released. Same thing, Disney Plus, July 9th.
Disney
So-
Plus and theaters.
Yes. Disney Plus and in theaters July 9th.
But for Disney Plus, you do have to pay $30. It's a premiere
Yes.
access. You
Because
have
it's
to
a
pay
movie.
$30 to buy the movie or you just go see it in the movie theater.
So it's probably cheaper to see it in the movie theater.
It
And
is.
July, that'd be over the summer. Maybe
This
things
should be
might
good.
die down a little bit.
Hopefully.
It's hard to know for sure, but it seems like Disney Plus execs are hopeful that this movie is going to have some sort of box office presence.
Yeah, and I thought this was the best trailer they've done so far, in my opinion. I had goosebumps during the trailer because obviously the Avengers stuff, showing the old Avengers stuff and playing the music was great, but the story really kicked into this trailer. I don't think we got really any story from the first couple of trailers, and this story about Florence Pugh really, by the way, she's such a good actress, by the way. I'm so happy for her for breaking out, playing the other main character in the movie, but the fact that she's really looked up to Black Widow, and Black Widow's like, that wasn't real. This type of stuff wasn't real. She's like, it was real to me. So there's some powerful stuff in this trailer that really hit me emotionally.
Yeah, I think
couldn't
this.
really tell what was going on.
I personally, I really liked the trailer. But
Yeah.
I was really hoping that like the trailer. I do kind of get what Lauren's saying. I did feel like the trailer was a little bit fast paced, and I was kind of hoping to get a little bit more information. But then again, on the same breath, in the same breath, like you don't want to have the whole movie spoiled to you. You do want to figure out some stuff watching it. So I
like
try
the
to take that with a grain of
blue-haired
salt.
child, was that a girl? Was that
Yeah.
was that
That was
okay?
her.
And then like, so was she this other character, the other like main female lead? Like, are they sisters or they were raised together? And I feel like they're both orphans, maybe, and then now they're spy ninjas. And I also feel like, didn't like some other time, like they referenced, like, didn't she like grow up in like a ballet studio that like trained her really hard for? Did I make that up? I feel like that was a thing.
No, yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, that was she did a little bit. Ballet was definitely like a part of her backstory. I think they referenced it in one of the other movies or
Yeah.
one of the trailers or something.
But why was there like a Terminator creature like going after them? Like, did someone hire like a robot bounty hunter to kill her?
Oh, are you talking about the main villain? Yeah, the main villain I believe is
Taskmaster.
Taskmaster for this movie. So
Like,
So awesome.
yeah,
what's his-
Taskmaster is like a bounty hunter kind of, and
Is he-
is he
I don't know how they're
multitasking?
well. Well, I'll tell you. So, um, how he's supposed to work in comics and in other things, I don't know how they're gonna do him in this movie. 'Cause sometimes they change the abilities of the heroes and the villains. But Taskmaster memorizes. He has like a photographic memory, and he can like it's or whatever it's called, like eidetic memory, whatever. He like
Yeah.
memorizes an opponent's fighting style to the point where he can predict their moves and completely nullify an
Yeah.
opponent. So it's like
Like a robot.
yeah, so like he isn't like he's pretty strong, but he's not like super powered like
So you just have to
Thor
be
or something.
completely unpredictable and have no patterns to you to fight.
Yeah, but that's incredibly difficult for someone like Black Widow, who
Who's
is
trained.
yeah, she's completely trained and all she knows is her fighting patterns, and she has no like incredible strength. Like
Powers.
Taskmaster couldn't defeat the Hulk because the Hulk just punches straight and it would just punch through him. And that'd be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like this is a completely different style character. Like he is the perfect villain to defeat her.
Yeah. And I was gonna add in here, this cast is pretty fantastic too. Like Scarlett Johansson, of course, Florence Pugh, but like David Harbour, who is criminally underrated. Obviously, he's in Stranger Things, but the fact that he's like the father figure to these three women is also great. Rachel Weisz, who's an Academy-winning actor, and they're really keeping Taskmaster very like it's not being talked about. He really wasn't in the trailer. I think a major playing Taskmaster that they're going to reveal in the movie because they're really keeping him pretty silent in these trailers, and I feel like they're going to try to build him up like a big reveal at the end of the movie that he's played by someone major. But I'm pumped. It's a prequel movie. It has nothing to do with the future MCU films, which I think is a good break because we just got two shows that are literally the main story of the MCU.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that plays a factor into it. In some respects, like I am a little bit annoyed by the fact that we don't know that much about Taskmaster, but on the same time, I do respect it. Yeah, I do respect it. And it's the nerd in me that's a little annoyed. I want to know more about Taskmaster. I want to see what we got.
Cool, though.
Yes,
He looks
he
cool.
does. But I'm also excited that they're going to be leaving a lot, to be seen in the movie, which that's good too. I do wish this movie was coming out sooner. July 9th feels like,
Wow.
a long time away, but by the time we're there, I'm sure it'll gone by fast. So, I'm excited for
Yeah.
the movie. Trailer looked good. I'm just, I don't think it's going to be an amazing movie or anything, but I think it has a lot of potential to be a good movie and enjoyable. And I'm finally happy that Scarlett Johansson gets the spotlight as
About
Black
to
Widow
say the
for
same.
once.
I'm about to say the same thing. She is such a good actress, and a lot of average moviegoers probably don't know that she's one of the best actresses working in Hollywood. Like Marriage Story, Jojo Rabbit, the past couple of years, like really amazing Oscar-nominated performances that no one talks about because she's just been in Black Widow. She's been playing Black Widow for over 10 years.
10
So,
years.
I would say that I'm really pumped for her because average moviegoers just don't know how good she is as an actress. I don't think.
For sure, for sure. And then the last trailer I wanted to touch on quick was
Wait,
Space Jam 2. So we know the original Space Jam with Michael Jordan. When did that actually come out? Let me look that up
is
real
that
quick.
like 96 or something? Maybe.
You're absolutely right. 96. Hit the
Yeah.
nail on the head there. So 96,
Okay.
that was the first one with Michael Jordan, and now this one, Space Jam 2,
LeBron.
obviously led by LeBron James. So both all-time great NBA players, and from the trailer, a lot of people I saw comparisons on social media from this trailer to Ready Player One, and kind of how filled with references and callbacks, and how very sci-fi mysterious it
Yeah.
was. And I totally see that comparison. I personally, I'm a big fan of the original Space Jam movie. I think it's very wacky and zany, and I think it knows that it's wacky and zany and plays into that and has fun and just makes an enjoyable movie. And I'm hoping that Space Jam 2 is able to do that. Some of the CGI looked good. I didn't think it looked bad, but it looked a little much CGI.
Okay.
Like I'm hoping that this movie doesn't take itself too seriously.
I was gonna actually. My connection was Ralph Breaks the Internet more than Ready Player One because if you've seen Wreck-It Ralph 2, those characters go into the internet and they basically are in all of they're basically in Disneyland with all the different Disney characters showing like Star Wars, all of Disney's properties IPs show up in Ralph Breaks the Internet. And this one, it's all of Warner Brothers' IPs. We saw Kong, we saw um, we saw Game of Thrones, we saw Flintstones. This is a lot. This is a really fun. Don Cheadle is also over the top but funny. People again, if you love the first one, those are the people who are going to be watching this one. Can LeBron or Michael Jordan act? That's up to debate. But LeBron, I think as a huge LeBron fan, I'm really happy for him too to get this role. And the animation I actually think looks cool. The fact that they go down a 2D animation when LeBron becomes an animated character with the Looney Tunes, I thought that was really well done. And looked really interesting. So this movie looks so fun. And so again, like turn your mind off for an hour and a half and watch a fun movie. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, this movie is going to be loaded with basketball references, NBA references. If you're an NBA fan, we saw the moment where Lola
Yes.
Bunny had her hands up at the camera like this, mimicking the Dwayne Wade alley oop to LeBron James from when he was on the Miami Heat.
Mhm.
The classic moment like that. Stuff like that is going to be hilarious. I can't wait to see all the different NBA players that are littered throughout this movie and like those little minor roles that just make the movie more enjoyable for people who are
Yeah.
big fans of the NBA.
You could
So
say Easter eggs.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Um,
And
so
then and this will be again HBO Max or in theaters. So again, it's one of those deals again where it will be on HBO Max for free, or you can see it out in a theater. So that's again, I actually like this plan. I'm not sure if Jacob you have talked about it a lot, but I think it's a good plan, giving people the option of you can see it in the theater or you can just see it at home. I think the option is really great for these type of movies like Space Jam.
Yeah, and officially the title of the movie, I just like to say Space Jam 2 because that's what it is. But it's
Yeah.
the official title is Space Jam: A New Legacy, and this is going to be a July 16th release. And as you said, theaters or HBO Max, where is that's where you can get it from.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. It seems like we got some good stuff coming out in July. July 9th, as we said earlier, Black Widow trailer. July 16th. we're gonna have this film Space Jam. So kind of Disney
Yeah.
Plus and HBO Max still competing with each other, back and forth. But
Yes.
definitely gonna be looking forward to see which movie kind of has a better box office.
That's what it's gonna be like because everything got pushed from last year. Every week it's gonna feel like a new blockbuster is coming out, and which I think as a movie fan, I think that makes it really exciting. The fact that every week something big is going to be coming out, and I think that I'm trying to pull up some more July releases for everyone, but it I think it just brings so much more excitement to the movie. Like Top Gun comes out in July, Black Widow, then Space Jam, then Jungle Cruise comes out in the last month. So that's a busy month. Every week, that's a new big Disney or HBO blockbuster. So I'm pretty excited for that month.
Absolutely, me too, me too. And then one of our, final major topics I wanted to discuss was, of course, Falcon and the Winter Soldier Episode 3. So, I believe there is, what, 6 episodes total they're going to have?
Yeah, we're halfway there.
So, we're
That's
3
it?
episodes
There's only
down.
6?
Yeah, it's only going to be a 6 episode series. So, 3 episodes
Yes.
down, 3 to go. Definitely a smaller, kind of a bridge series. But regardless, Falcon and the Winter Soldier Episode 3. What were your guys' kind of initial thoughts of the episode?
Okay, like what was that city they're in where it's like everything's all
Madripoor.
cool? Yeah,
Madripoor.
like the lights and it's like the vibes. Like
So
I
awesome.
love that whole. And then he was like they were like dressing all fancy with the bad dude. I'm sure like I'm describing it so well. I know everyone's names and the places.
Yeah, the
I was very
Smiling
entertained.
Tiger was his like fake name or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Anthony
I love
Anderson.
they were like only Americans would think you're gay. That was really funny.
Yeah, it was funny.
Go ahead, Max.
I really liked the episode. I think last week was better, but I really liked the episode because as a big supporter of Zemo from Civil War, not a huge one. I think he was good in the movie. People really hated Zemo in Civil War. He was the best part of this episode for me, by far. He was the MVP of this episode. His scenes were both really funny because he was a great third wheel for Sam and Bucky's banter.
Yeah.
That worked very, very well. But you can also take him seriously of being a threatening guy who broke up the Avengers, basically, in Civil War. His music was also brought back from Civil War. I had goosebumps when Bucky walked into his cell. And the fact that he's controlling the Winter Soldier was also very great. And the Sharon Carter action scene out in the docks was awesome. That was the best Sharon Carter's ever been in the MCU. So 2 characters that I think a lot of people didn't really love in the movies got a lot more love in the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I like Sharon.
Yeah, every time, I don't know if this is just me, but every time I saw Sharon Carter on screen, I thought, yeah, she's cool and she's a good actress. Yeah. But like, that's the girl who kissed Captain America. What? And she's living this, it seems like this kind of isolated, lonely life. And I'm just left thinking, like, where's Cap? Where's Cap for this? And like, why he's not gonna help her? He's not. I get he's old or whatever, so fine. He's not gonna send somebody to help her. He's not gonna tell like Sam or Bucky like, hey, find this girl, like help her out. Like, where's Cap in all this?
You're absolutely right, and that's what Sam kept talking about on the plane in that last scene. He was like, so because Sharon kept saying, when I saved your asses in the Civil War, when I gave you your,
no one did shit for
me. I stole the shield, I stole your Falcon, I helped get you out of prison. You guys were on the run. You guys were on the run with Avengers. Like Sam was like, I was on the run. And he's like, your run was different from mine. You had Steve. You were on the run with Avengers. I had to leave the country, become a brand new person, and was left behind, which I thought was a very interesting and authentic.
The wreckage behind the Avengers.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't run away from telling that storyline. I kind of thought that it would be like, oh, Sharon's back and everything's been great and it's peachy and here we go. Instead it was, instead they really just like kind of confronted that storyline head on, and I really respected
This whole episode was very like superheroes they can be great and all, but there's a lot of consequences for what they have done. And Zemo was a huge part of that because his family got killed during the fights of Avengers Age of Ultron and Sokovia. His entire family was demolished. His home was ruined. And the fact and he brought up that the Avengers never came back to the memorial of Sokovia. They just left it behind, forgot about Sokovia, and moved on. And I think Bucky and Sam both realized that being a Captain America is kind of important because people you got to be a superhero, but also understand the consequences of what that brings.
Yeah. And the new Captain America is not getting that.
No, he's a jerk.
He is not the package deal.
No.
Yeah, on that line you were talking about, Max, when he asked Bucky and Sam whether they had been to the graves in Sokovia.
That really hit Bucky personally.
And they're referencing Age of Ultron, 2015 Avengers Age of Ultron, if anyone is unfamiliar, where Ultron takes up a huge part of the city and then drops it, and it falls all the way down and decimates the surrounding area of Sokovia, killing millions of people, hundreds of thousands at least of people. And that kind of paved the way for Civil War and the division between, Tony and Cap. And obviously then that division carried over into an Infinity War and what allowed them to be separated and easily taken out by Thanos. So these kind of plot lines reverberate all throughout the MCU. And I'm really glad that they continue to bring them up because they're important. And I just thought the reference to that was really good, and I also liked how Zemo was like, "Oh, of course you didn't go," because in a way it made Zemo more of a relatable antagonist. It's like, you know what, you're right, they didn't go because they don't care. Yeah,
Zemo was right this entire episode. Everything he said, he's like, "What's the point of superheroes if it just leads to war? It leads to death." And Zemo was very much right this entire episode, which I thought was a very good tool of doing with the script.
100%. 100%, I agree with that. And then Lauren touched on the new Captain America.
John Walker.
Yep,
himself.
John Walker. Yep. And one of the lines I wrote down from the episode, he said, quote, "If we get the job done, do you really think they're going to sweat us on the how?"
Yes.
And
that's
I
not
saw
what
that.
The real Captain America would say.
Yeah, because, the real Captain America would say, if the job's not done right, what's the point of doing the job? Like, so something like along those lines. Like doing the job right is the point.
When he was walking into the opening scene, he was like, "Doesn't matter if they're breathing or not. We got to get this information out of these people, no matter what. Like anything matters."
It's like that class of detective that's like really mean and like just doesn't care about people, but like as him. Yeah, really great descriptions today.
No, I totally get what you're going for, and I think what's really interesting though about John Walker, the new Captain America, is that we've seen that, he doesn't have the same perfect morality and perfect ideals that Captain America, Steve Rogers, might have had. But he hasn't necessarily done anything wrong yet. He's just kind of hinting at us that, like, hey, this guy isn't going to be perfect. But
I'm going to vote that he will do something wrong.
That might be true, but we've seen that kind of personality, but actually manifested into doing something wrong with some of the Flag Smashers. We saw the Flag Smashers. One of the lines that they said when they blew up the whole building of guards and killed all the people inside. When the one guy was like, there were people still in there. And then the girl said, quote, "This is the only language these people understand." That felt like something that John Walker might say in the future. That felt like something that is later down the line. So these the Flag Smashers kind of feel like a potential outcome for John Walker, that he might be trending towards that direction.
And that was a great point that you just made about the Flag Smashers, because I was actually rooting for the Flag Smashers. Their points are correct.
Until they started
until they blew
people.
up, and she was like, I wanted to be a teacher. It felt very authentic and stuff. And then she blows him up, and you're like, well, she's a terrorist very fast. And I thought that was a very good job of doing that. But I think what the show is doing great is making you feel like Sam has to be Captain America. He's the only clean, good person in his entire show who doesn't have a backstory of any or trails of any negativity. Yeah, he's clean. He's done his work. And I think they're laying the trail that he will be Captain America by the end of the show, or just pick up the shield at the end of the show. Not being Captain America, being his own version of himself with the shield.
Flying America.
Flying America.
And I like that they didn't just give Sam the shield and he instantly accepted it,
He's
and
owning
then
it.
that was
Yeah.
it. Right. And I love how they go back and forth. Like, I see the argument for Sam wanting to be his own superhero. I also see the argument that the Winter Soldier makes, Bucky, when he talks about how the shield is more than that. The shield has saved millions of lives, and it's a symbol, it's an icon, it gives people hope. There's meaning behind the shield, and if you throw away that meaning, then you throw away all the good it's done. And do you cause a more net bad by doing that? So I love how the show is taking its time to figure out what really is the right decision. What are both sides of this story, as opposed to just, oh, here's the shield, go be Captain America, go do stuff. Yeah, I think it'd have been much lazier had they done that. So I do really respect that the show is taking its time to figure itself out almost.
I don't know if it was just like you guys, but I freaked out for the ending. My jaw did drop to the ground when we saw Ayo, who is from the Dora Milaje from Black Panther, who was in Civil War. She was in Black Panther and she was in Infinity War. A character that really didn't get anything to do is now going to get a lot to do in the show. And the fact that, people are going to forget that Zemo killed T'Chaka in Civil War, and how the Wakandans have not forgotten about that. Did you guys like that now that Wakanda point of view is getting added into the show?
I saw like the little things he was picking up, and I was like, are they like little grenades? Like, what are those?
Yeah.
And so like it's cute, like she like led a little trap to her. She's like, follow my orbs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it'd be more fun if she just like picked him up, threw him against a wall, and like stabbed him into the wall. But
Yeah, I also like how it was very obvious to Bucky what was going on, and and how he decided not to clue them in, because if you guys remember, Bucky was kind of taken in by by T'Challa, by Black Panther,
White Wolf.
Yeah, as the White Wolf. He was taken into Wakanda, so he has a personal relationship with the Wakandans that he spent a decent amount of time there. So
I want flashbacks to that. Can I get that?
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. That's a great idea.
If I could, or maybe like he like has a dream and you go into his dream and he's like reliving a scene from that would be nice.
Yeah. I think I would definitely like to see more information on that time period as well that he spent.
And I like that there's so many different point of views on this Captain America controversial situation. You have two people like Sam and Bucky who are close friends, and really they are two halves that make Captain America. Then you have Zemo, who is anti-hero but still making the right. He's an extremist, but he's still.
Well, he killed someone, like the lab dude.
Yeah. And it does, by the way, seem like that Sharon Carter is working for the power broker. That's how I felt about it. I don't think she is, but the fact that they showed a scene of her talking to her driver or something, saying that we have two problems. Obviously, that's Sam and Bucky. I think she's working for the power broker. But there's just a lot of different point of views on the situation, which I thought was a smart way of going about it.
Yeah. I thought one thing that people, I'd be remiss if I didn't touch on any controversy. Some people online were a little confused by the ending scene with Ayo was the Wakandan warrior that kind of dropped in to confront Bucky. A lot of people thought that was Okoye for whatever reason. That was a huge deal that I saw people on social media arguing back and forth. Yes, yeah, people on social media arguing back and forth. Which character this was, and it is
I knew
Ayo.
right away.
Yeah, it is Ayo. And there was a decent amount of people online that thought it was Okoye. So I just wanted to set that record straight for anyone who was confused or might have been under the same illusion. That's not the case. The character's Ayo. But
I also want to bring up just one issue of the episode, if that's okay, because I felt like the jail sequence of getting him out of prison, how he escaped, how they could just walk into the prison and they're like, he's down on the left. It felt too easy for a person who literally broke up the Avengers. It felt way too easy. And I don't know how Zemo got the book also in that really really tight prison. He just had the book with the key in it. It didn't really make a lot of sense.
It feels
I
like
was thinking, like, how long was he in the prison? Like, maybe he slowly, like, got it and he was saving it for a rainy day. And then Bucky was like, oh, you have a key. Okay, this will be easy.
Yeah.
you know, but then how would Bucky know about it? You know, like it just
Yeah.
it's a very weird episode. All that makes me think when watching a sequence like that is, why is this show only 6 episodes? That's all I can think about.
They made it that short so that it could be 6 episodes, because if the 7th episode would just be getting him out of prison.
Right, but you can add some beef onto that, make it an 8 episode or a 12 episode or something. You know, I feel like you can add some stuff into this.
I would like a 37 episode Falcon Winter Soldier, and then I want 10 of the episodes to just be Bucky's dreams.
But they really have set up a lot in 3 episodes, and they have a lot to finish up on in these 3 episodes. And they did bring up Isaiah Bradley too, because they said that the doctor was like, the scientist was like, we took this from the subject, who obviously was Isaiah Bradley, who we saw last episode. So he will obviously be back, I think, as well. But there's a lot of stuff going on, and I hope that it satisfies everyone at the end.
It's crazy how much they travel the freaking world. They're like, they've been in every part of the world. Zemo's
rich somehow.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. Oh yeah, they said he was like family or whatever,
royalty.
Like royalty. Yeah, let's get on that. Maybe he'll sponsor the podcast.
True. And I did want to quickly throw in there, I know we're getting a little close to our time here. So, before we kind of wrap up, Max, you can, if you'd like to quickly give your review for the first 4 episodes of Invincible, the TV series. You can go ahead and do that now. Then I think we'll wrap up the show after that.
Yeah, I really want to talk about it because we actually talked about the trailer on this show, I think like a month ago, Jacob, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And you actually brought this. You actually brought this to my attention because Prime does a terrible job of promoting their shows. You brought this to my attention, and I sat on the show. The show's been out for 2 weeks. So the first 3 episodes dropped 2 weeks ago, and now it's weekly. There's only 8 episodes. Number 4 dropped on Friday. And I want to say this is a really special show. I think this is one of the better superhero adaptations that I've seen in a long time. It felt very special, like very Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, in the way that it feels like a comic book come to life. Now, this show is not for kids. I haven't seen the trailer in a while, Jacob, so I don't know if the trailer was cursing and bloody. It's a very raunchy, very bloody, very mixture of a colorful superhero and a dark time, and being how dark it is to actually be a superhero. And it's about I'm not going to spoil anything because there's a one of the better twists I've seen in years happen in the last scene of episode 1 that I can't talk about because I'm doing non-spoiler. But if Jacob watches the show or something, we can definitely talk about it. And the episodes, by the way, are 45 minutes each, so it does have time to do some quiet scenes. But the show's about Mark Grayson, who is a kid voiced by Steven Yeun, who he's turning 17. He's getting his powers now from his dad, Omni-Man, who's played by J.K. Simmons. And he has a human mom, played by Sandra Oh. And just about being a kid superhero. He has a relationship with a girl played by Zazie Beetz, who he likes a lot. He also, when he's a superhero, has a crush on a girl. I really can't get into plot because there's a huge spoiler that happens at the end of 1 that changes the rest of the show. And if you're watching the first episode, like, it feels very similar to other superhero stuff. The end of the first episode, it's a completely different show. The first episode's very much like, we've been here, done that with superheroes, and then the ending, the last 10 minutes of this, I've never been more shocked of a twist in a superhero movie in a long time.
Yeah, and I did want to quickly touch on, I haven't seen the show yet, and I'm gonna probably watch it, today. After this review from Max, I feel like I have to. But as you touched on with the cast, I'm looking at it right now. Steven Yeun, we know him from Glenn on The Walking Dead.
He's nominated this year for an Oscar for Minari.
Yep. and J.K. Simmons, obviously he's a famous, actor in a bunch of superhero movies. I mean, like obviously, from Spider-Man.
Yeah, this is one of the best voice casts. Mark Hamill.
And Mark Hamill, of course, is known famously as Luke Skywalker, but in voice acting as the Joker. So
and Clancy Brown is in it. He's a very famous voice actor.
Sure.
Seth Rogen plays a character. Jillian Jacobs. There's a lot of Zachary Quinto. This is one of the better voice casts I've seen. If you're a superhero fan, you have to check it out. If you've seen The Boys and you really like The Boys, this is very similar to that. But this is a very special show that balances I think Peter Parker is probably the closest comparison because of being a superhero while being a kid. This kid's being balanced of being a kid, being a superhero, and living up to a father's expectation of being a superhero, and how his mom feels like she's being left behind because she's a regular person. She's nothing. She doesn't have any superpowers, but she still is crucial to his life. And he's trying to figure out if he wants to live a superhero life or if he wants to live a life of being a normal kid. And I definitely want to talk about this twist. If Jacob watches it this week, I will definitely talk about it next week because that will be 5 episodes in. But John Hamm is also in the show. He has a subplot in it. So it's on Amazon Prime right now. The first 4 episodes of 8. So we're at the halfway point of the season. So this is a great time to jump on the bandwagon because this is also from the creator of The Walking Dead. Created the comic. He writes the show, Robert Kirkman. So if you're a superhero fan, watch the show. If you like raunchy, bloody stuff, watch the show. I do think it's one of the better shows I've seen in a long time.
For sure. And, as you said, the show is called Invincible, and it's on Amazon Prime.
Please, Joe, check it out. I can't wait to talk about it with you guys more on this podcast because the spoiler, I can't talk about the plot, which is a shame because I was going to, and then I saw the end of that first episode. I was like, oh my God, this just happened. And it blew my mind. So you have to, and there's also a post-credit scene in every episode. So you have to leave, don't touch your remote. It'll turn on the next episode for you. So, but yeah, I can't wait to talk about it with you guys next week.
Looking forward to it. All right, well, I think with that being said, we've kind of reached our limit here, so I think I'm going to cut the podcast off there. I appreciate you guys watching. This has been a great episode of the Movie Mafia. We have more movie news every week coming, everybody, so please stay tuned. Follow us on all our social media accounts. We live stream all our episodes on Twitch every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, so be sure to check us out there. And, for everyone watching pre-recorded on, YouTube or Spotify, we appreciate it, and we hope to see you in the next episode. Absolutely. Like the episode, and we will see you in the next episode. See you guys!